This story I'm about to tell you took place around about 2003, 2004. And at the time I was employed by a company that sold training resources into educational schools, high schools, polytechs, a lot of private training, you know. And this involved me travelling by road right throughout the South Island, Wellington and up to Paraparaumu. And on this particular occasion, I was heading up through central Otago to the town of Lawrence, small town. Used to be a gold mining town as far as I'm aware. And I arrived there in the early evening or late afternoon, probably about 3:30 in the afternoon. So the school would have been out by then, and so I decided to stay over in Lawrence and go and visit the school the next morning before heading on further inland. So I turned up at the backpackers establishment, and they didn't have any room for me to stay. So the woman said to me, there's a lady down further into the township that runs a pottery business, and part of the business that she purchased was the pottery business, and there were two, she said, fairly aged motel units. She said, I'll give her a ring and see if she's got any space for you. She did this, and the woman had said, yes, we've got some the units are empty, or one of the units was empty. So the lady directed me down to where I should go. I went down there and parked in the car park, walked over, and there's the lady working at her pottery wheel. Introduced myself. She handed me the key to the unit, and I went and unpacked for the evening. Now, I've always carried cameras in my car on these trips because you see some really interesting stuff. So I unpacked and decided that the weather was okay. I'd take a walk around the town and do photography perhaps. So as I'm coming out of the unit, the lady spotted me with the camera and she motioned to me. So I went up there and she said, what you might find interesting, as you see you're heading out with your camera, if you go down the road here, turn left out of the driveway here and go down to the police station on the next corner and then hang a left, she said it'll take you on a loop around the town and it'll bring you back to the main road into town, and, you could capture whatever it is you want. She said, by the way, as you go, turn left at the police station and go up a few metres, you'll see there's a track that leads up to the cemetery, the old cemetery. So you might want to look around there, and there may be something of interest up there you want to film as well. So that's what I did. Headed down the road to the police station, hung a left, walked up maybe 50 metres, see the path up to the cemetery. Up there I go. So I'm walking around the cemetery, and I was quite surprised at how many young people, people in their early teens, even younger, buried in this cemetery. I found out later that part of the reason was that I'm not sure, I think it was gold mining or mining for something or other, just at Gabriel's Gully, just sort of behind where the township is. And they'd done a lot of digging up of the earth and everything, and that it had filled up with water. And I don't know whether the kids used to go down there and play or what, but there were quite a few fatalities experienced way back. And so I photographed some of these headstones and everything. Now, at the time of presenting this to you, I don't know, I've lost all those photos for some reason or other. So I've been occupied with searching on Google Earth so that I can explain and show you the story I'm about to tell you. So I walk around the block, I walk up to the cemetery, I'm filming and everything, and decide to continue the loop that the lady at the motels had suggested I would like to do. So I did that, and it was a reasonable distance, and I was photographing, still photos at this point, photographing as I went around. And I ultimately came back onto, as she said, the main entrance road into Lawrence. Now, my reference to Gabriel's Gully, on the main street, maybe 50 metres from where I reconnected with the main street, at the period that I'm talking about, there was a big sign up there, Gabriel's Gully. I see now they've moved it further back to the bridge that's in behind the township, but that's okay. And I thought, well, I'll get a photograph of that signage. You know, it was quite imposing. It was quite a large sign. So I raised my camera. I pressed the shutter button. Nothing happens. I look down, the camera's still on. I lined it up again with the sign, and I did this about 3 or 4 times, and I could not get a photograph of that entranceway, the sign to Gabriel's Gully. And I thought, well, that's pretty weird. So I decided I'd just carry on down the street a bit further, which I did. And there's a nice old buildings here. I'll take some photos of them. Click. Oh, I got a photo. Right. I'll go back to the gully sign and have another go. So I walk back to the sign for the gully, Gabriel's Gully. I lift my camera. I hit the button. Nothing happened. No photograph. Right, spooky possums. What's going on here? So I continued on down into the town and did away with the Gabriel's Gully entranceway. And I managed to photograph stuff on the way down and what have you. And I finally get home, I don't know, 6:30, something like that. So I'm watching TV and everything's fine. And I decided it's time to go to bed. So I decided to have a shower because I had a day in the car driving around and visiting and what have you. And climbed into bed, make sure all the lights and that were turned out and everything was turned off. Got into bed. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I had to get up and go to the loo. And as I woke up and opened up my eyes, I thought, there's a light on in the hall here, and I know that I turned everything off. And I'm pondering there and thinking, well, maybe it's light coming in from a street light outside, because the door entrance to this unit had a window in it, and a glass, clear glass. And I thought, that's what it'll be a street light. So I get up to go to the toilet, and I look outside the back door, and it's as black as the ace of spades on the outside. And I thought, that's a bit weird. There's no street light to light up the hallway. So I thought, right, what do I do now? Anyway, I go to the toilet. I check everything again, it's all switched off. I go back to bed. I go back to sleep. I wake up again an hour later, and the light's on in the hallway. So I swing my legs to get out of the bed, and as my feet hit the ground, the lights went out. I got back into bed, rolled over, lifted my head and looked out again. The light was on. Oh, okay. Swung my feet hit the floor, the light goes out. And I thought, this is just a tad weird. So the next morning, I have my breakfast and get packed up and everything and go to pay my bill. I open up the door to the unit and look across the street, and there's not a street light in sight. And I thought, that's a bit weird. So I get up to this lady and I sign out, and I said to her about the light on in the room. Oh, where did you go yesterday? You know, when you left with your camera. Oh, I said I did the route that you said I should do, and filmed in that in the cemetery and what have you. She said, oh. She said, with regard to the light in your unit, I said, yes. She said, I think you brought someone home from the cemetery with you. Now, I'd shake your head, nod your head, whistle, call me an idiot. There was no explanation for why this light was doing what it was doing. There was no reason why I couldn't film the Gabriel Gully entrance. Leave you to ponder on that. Thanks for watching.